Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And what we're going to look at in this video is the Planet Networking industrial switch that I have. And let's break it out. If you follow me on Twitter or TikTok, you'll have seen a short that I did. But this is the IGS-801M. It is their industrial managed switch. I did buy this one myself. And here is the switch itself. Got Planet pressed in the middle there. We've got a reset button. Then we've got 8 gigabit Ethernet ports. This is a non-PoE switch. Then on the top, we've got redundant power input. And what else do we have? There's a fault there. And then we also have the grounding lug, and then on the back it has the mounting bracket built in. So it also comes with port covers, which is kind of nice, and then it comes with some other mounting plate options. So let me show you what one of these port covers looks like. I'll leave an Amazon affiliate link down below, but they just have these to this switch, but they just have these nice Ethernet covers. They don't know where you're going to be running this, so they wanted to provide the options. And then these other plates are so you can you could wall mount this. You can also set it on a desk. I don't know if this is going to focus. There it goes. So you can use this to mount it directly to a wall. And on the back, next to the DIN rail mount, there are those mounting holes for those plates. So all in all, a pretty nice switch. I made my power jumper, so we'll get it hooked up back here. We'll plug it in to the other switch for the uplink. We'll see what happens, so stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, so I didn't yet mount it on the DIN rail. I want to clean a few things up, but I do have it powered up and we are logged into it. So let's take a look at it. I did upgrade the firmware because the firmware that was on it was from when I purchased the switch. So it's a little old, and they just released a version in October, which is the 2.3. And it does change the way that the default username and admin username and password work. So on the new firmware, they're meeting some requirements. So the password is SW plus the last 6 of your MAC address. So you have to have the MAC address to log in after you upgrade it. So this is the interface. Real quick, let's go over here and take a look. So this switch is going for $224.99 right now. I haven't looked at the ratings. They keep producing this switch, so they are definitely selling the switch. This is my first Planet purchase, so I am going to use it. I'm probably going to use this out in the garage and see how it goes for a few things that don't need PoE. But you can see here we've got our MAC address. It does have a default IP. It doesn't do DHCP by default, so the default IP is 192.168.0.100, so I had to configure one of my network interfaces to be in that network so we could get into this device. But up here we've got some quick links. So this takes you to system, this takes you to your switching, your quality of service, your security, your ring setup, and we kind of talked about that a little bit in the Teltonica switch, and then you have your maintenance. Now, I don't know how, let's see if I can just get back to where everything's on one. So it looks like they did before the menu, before I upgraded, the menu was all down the side here. So there's definitely been some changes. So now we're on the system screen. So we can change the system name, the location, the contact, all that can be pulled via SNMP. Down here you can see that I'm using Power 1. I'm not using both of them. And then my PC is actually plugged into number 3 right there. That's our system information. Our IP configuration right now is set at static, which is the default. Not sure what these DNS servers are, but I don't have a gateway of 0.254 on the network, so this thing cannot get out to, it can't get out to the internet. So I'm not real worried about that. IP version 6, it does support IP version 6. Here we can set up new users, and they have user or admin privilege. This does have a fault alarm on the top, which is why there are 2 pins in between the power, and we can send different types of alerts when power fails or there's a power fault. Our time settings here, obviously it's not going to be able to reach out. Right now it has no internet access. We've got log management. So the logs are enabled. We can send everything to a remote syslog. That's nice. And then here are our current logs. Here's where we can set up all of our SNMP information, and it supports 1, 2, and 3. It also supports Armon and then remote management. They do have an NMS controller, Planet does, or you can use the internet. So they have an on-prem and an internet-based. I'm going to disable that because we're not going to remote manage it at the moment. So let's hop on over here to switching. You've got under your port management. I wish the menus were a little bit more clear. That's one thing I am going to say, is I do wish when I clicked on this, besides just that changing and these going to orange, I wish there was some sort of, because it's now just starting to look cluttered. Anyway, port configuration, we can come in, edit the descriptions. It shows us the up, down. We can change the speed, the duplex, the flow control. Pretty standard switch stuff. Here's all of our port counters. So we can come in and take a look at that. Bandwidth utilization. Oh, this is kind of nice. It's got a little graph for us, and it shows us the link and the utilization. That's pretty nice, actually. We can do port mirroring. We can enable jumbo frames. Port error disabled configuration, so we can disable ports, and it does look like it has port security, so we'll get into that, but any of these things can disable a port. That's pretty nice. We can do protected ports. Right now you can see all the ports are unprotected. Green Ethernet setup here. Link aggregation, so you can do lags with this. That's kind of nice. There's our algorithm, and you can do it by MAC or IP in MAC. Here's our lag management. You can do 4 lags. We've got 8 ports. What I don't know is if you can, let's see. So it looks like you can do any combination. So we could actually put all 8, which would be silly. But we could put 6 ports in a lag if we needed to, it looks like. That's pretty nice. Here's the LACP settings. Pretty feature rich. Here's our management VLAN. We can change that. This is the VLAN subsection if you didn't see me change that. Here we can create VLANs. They call it port to VLAN here. So this is where we would come in and we would do our tagged or exclude or forbid. Then this shows us the port VLAN membership. This is likely where we change our PVID as well. This is the first time I'm taking this out of the box, so we're doing this together. So don't give me too much of a hard time. We're just going through this. I am going to play around with this switch for sure. Let's see. Protocol VLAN group setting, VLAN port settings, GVRP. Very nice. We've got our spanning tree, and it supports STP, CIST, MST. Multicast supports multicast. It can do flood, router port, or drop. You can throttle your multicast. IGMP, obviously related to multicast. Let's see if we can enable. So you can actually make this your multicast router. Pretty nice. MLD snooping. Here's our LLDP. Let's see if it tells us anything. Nope, it's not sharing any information. Is it disabled? It is disabled. Let's enable it and see what happens. So here's our local device. Let's see what if it picked up our remote device. It did. It found the Unify Flex 2.5G that is its uplink. Pretty sweet. Here's our MAC address table, dynamically learned. So it's obviously going to see everything that is on the network. We can do static settings. We can do filtering. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. QoS. Let's see what we've got for QoS. QoS properties. Basic. Looks to be, it's either disabled or basic. So we can do it per port. We can do, looks like we can set up our different queues here. COS mapping, DSCP mapping. So we can do that. IP precedent mapping. Here's the, here's that QoS basic mode. So if it's not in basic mode, then we must have to set up everything here. So let's see what happens if we turn the basic mode on. Okay, so it looks like this might be auto QoS. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Here's our bandwidth control. So it looks like we can restrict bandwidth on ingress and egress. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. It's got storm control built in, and it does have a voice VLAN, which makes sense. It does have LLDP. Perfect. Although without PoE, I don't know if I would use this. I mean, I might out in a shop, maybe. We'll see. Security still has telnet, but it is disabled, thank goodness. SSH is enabled by default. HTTP, HTTPS, which obviously we're just in HTTP right now. Looks like it's got some ACLs that we can configure. Like I said, if you're going to play with ACLs, make sure you do it in your lab before you remote into equipment and try to configure it, because you will probably lock yourself out. Supports AAA. You can do radius server authentication for your users. Pretty nice. Since you can do that, you can also enforce multi-factor authentication. It's got 802.1x. And we can enforce that on the ports. Pretty nice for a little switch. Port security. We can enable it. And then what we can do is we can say how many MAC addresses can be on this port. And we could say 3. Okay, what's going to happen if we hit 3? We're going to shut down the port. That's what that does. Pretty nice. We've got DHCP snooping, so we can lock that down. That's pretty nice. I dig it. Dynamic ARP inspection is a really nice feature. Some of these tools that you see out there that are doing ARP spoofing on your network, you can kind of mitigate some of that. IP source guard, denial of service. Here's more ACLs. If you want to see a video on ACLs versus firewall rules, let me know. I mean, they're kind of the same thing, but kind of not, because they're configured differently. Let me know down in the comments. Here's that ring set up, so we can set up the ring. I wonder if we can do that. We should be able to do that between vendors, right? I don't know that. Tell me down in the comments if you know. Then under maintenance, we've got save configuration, factory default, reboot switch, backup manager, upgrade manager. It does have dual images, and the active one is the new one, so I need to flash that other the backup image. We've got cable diagnostics. We've got a ping test, IP version 6 ping test. Over here we've got a refresh, save configuration, a reboot, and a log out. So that is a high level overview of this Planet industrial switch. It is going to get mounted. I am going to do a video talking about the tools that I use. Like I said, I'm teaching myself this DC power stuff, so don't necessarily take any advice from me. Talk to an electrician, but anybody's capable of learning anything, right? There's enough information out there. I thought we're going to do this. So if you've got any questions about this switch, let me know down in the comments. We will revisit it after I've used it for a little while. So it's probably going to be 6-8 months, something like that. I am going to build a solar site, and I am going to cycle these switches through the solar site as well. So if you've got any questions about this switch, if you like it, if you don't like it, what do you think about the price to feature ratio, especially not having PoE? Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share, follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links are down below, along with affiliate links, a Patreon link. And if you need IT consulting of most any type, head on over to williehowe.com, fill out the contact form that's right there on the front page, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. If you want to talk about DC power, if you want to talk about switching or anything IT, head on over to community.williehowe.com. Sign up and start asking your questions or join the conversation. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for being here. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.